Welcome to Fresh Off the Boat. I'm delighted to be interviewing one of my old students. His name is Shashwat Murarka. He went to La Martiniere School in Calcutta. It's known as La Martiniere College. I attended that school too, way back in 1991. So there's some personal connection there with you, Shashwat. Welcome to our episode this weekend. And I'm delighted to actually know more about your journey and transformation. I see that you've totally become a lot more fitter than I used to know you, as we'll get to know about that too. So why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, Shashwat, and then I'll ask you the first question.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me. And it's a great pleasure talking to you again. And it's amazing. It brings back a lot of memories. So I'm a freshman, now rising sophomore at University of Richmond. And I'm studying mathematics and economics. At least I'm thinking of studying mathematics and economics, as well as a minor in computer science and entrepreneurship or maybe theater. I'm all over the place, but that's why I'm at Liberal Arts College.
That's great. Yeah, that's amazing. So, in terms of first getting to Richmond, you had some idea of where you were going and what would it be like? What were your expectations, and how did you settle in at University of Richmond?
Yeah, so the first thing I actually checked out when I got accepted was the dining hall menu, and it was actually exciting to see like all these different kinds of foods and stuff like that, which is something I really like. I mean, I'm a foodie, and then I go on and I realize that wow, this is such a beautiful campus, and I'm doing my research, and I realized that there is such good faculty, and there's so much more that the school offers than just what you see from it when you're looking at the Instagram page or just talking to people there. It's a very holistic sort of learning, and what I saw in Richmond when I went on and actually started talking to people was how Richmond was. I knew about Washington D.C. and that it's close by and it's in Virginia, and I was a bit intimidated, but okay, I was also very excited. Once I started talking to people, I became much more comfortable, and that just one thing after the other, and just things just kept on going. Yeah.
Great. And so once you landed there, what are the resources that you used? How was orientation like? And how does everyone there sort of make you feel welcome? What was your experience?
So, I think as soon as I landed into Richmond, first thing was let's visit campus. And I go into campus and I see this beautiful lake. And what's more beautiful is like all the people surrounding the lake and everyone just, mingling and talking and people just reaching out to you. And the orientation was like probably the smoothest 2 weeks that I've had in Richmond in the first semester. And I think there was no point where I felt that, okay, I think that maybe, I need to fit in better or I need to, probably know better or something. Everyone was very accepting. And I think that I found very, very different kind of people within my same orientation group, since they divided us into groups. And everyone had so much like difference in opinion, in perspective, that it was very fascinating to me as soon as I landed there and started speaking to people. And I found that beauty about Richmond, about having so many different perspectives and every perspective getting its due respect in the very orientation week, that I felt like, I belong there. And it was in the very start that I started feeling like, I would really enjoy here.
Fascinating. Yeah. So how about the academic choices that you started making early on, and who helped you or figure out the system, since you coming from an Indian national curriculum system definitely is very different from a US college environment. How did you quickly learn about all of that?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. So, first of all, like the few classes that I took in the first semester, I took an economics class, I took a psychology class, I took a math Calc 1 class, and I took a first year seminar, which is for developing reading and writing skills. And with academic skills, I think that what really stood out for me was the work that they put in on your writing and your reading abilities, because that is something that is probably very different from today's Indian education, because I feel like it's a little bit more about memorization and less about understanding it. So the system there was very new to me, and it was very welcoming, because I will tell you, like, my first experience with my math class, and I have not been someone who's really looking forward to math, and you know this. We've had a conversation about this, but when I went there and my very first class, I was like, wow, this is a whole new side to math. And I just started enjoying it. It was like something just told me that, I've been seeing this subject, I've been seeing this topic in a very different way. And it showed me a much brighter side of it. And that was true with each and every class. It was a much more practical approach. Of course, there were things in which that it was harder for me to adapt, whether it was writing for my first year seminars. My writing from my first class and my writing from my last class had a huge difference. And it was just because of the teacher and the faculty actually having that time to give to me and wanting to help me out, where there would be situations where my professor would reach out to me and be like, Shash, are you happy with your paper? Do you think you can do better? And I'd always be like, yes. And they'd be like, just, come for off, like, just come, let's talk about it. And those conversations really were, you know, I saw a big change in my papers and my writing and my thinking ability overall.
Wonderful. That's just quite a transformational sort of journey in mathematics for you. And
Yeah.
imagine that now you be sort of considering math as such a maybe a major is just outstanding. Great effort there. So also, you were interested in economics. So what's the track that you feel you can follow in economics? And of course, there's so much math. If you want to study economics, there is math too. So it sort of helps you. So what do you know about things that you've studied already, and how would you, if you choose to do a major, what are the different tracks that are offered?
Yeah. So in the case of mathematical economics, which is what I want to consider, what I'm considering as of now, I think a big part of it is using data. And I think that both subjects really complement each other when it comes to doing the numbers with math and understanding the logic in the market. I think this is a subject, or this is a combination which can be applied in a lot of areas, whether it is, consulting, whether it is trying to market something, whether it's trying to predict what the market will do in the future, which is also economics. And a few topics which really stood out for me, at least in the first 2 semesters, I've taken micro and macroeconomics, and I was studying the micro point of view, where it's about game theory and it's about the prisoner's dilemma and these kinds of things. When you apply it to math, it's just amazing how human brains are so are made in a way where the decision making can actually be crunched down into numbers. And I worked with my math professor on the side outside of my class, where we were actually trying to understand how the math can be applied of a prisoner's dilemma in the outside world. And this is something like which is not part of the curriculum, but just because of the faculty, I just got this opportunity to go out of the books, whether it was my economics professor or my maths professor. And it's now something that I feel like I'm looking forward to when I go into an economics class or a math class. And coming to like about careers, I think it's very important for me as a person that I grew into mathematics, because now I'm understanding the value of numbers and applying it to economics. So I think data, going into data, analyzing data, actuaries is another very actual sciences is also a really big example for someone who wants to go into mathematical economics. And yeah, and also
That's
behavioral
good.
economics is an area which I'm looking at. Yeah.
Super. So I know University of Richmond also has a business program, which is worth talking about, I guess. Did you
Yeah.
get a chance to take classes there, or are you planning to do something? And what is unique about the business program, if at all? If you know
Yeah. So
something, please
I
share.
can speak a little bit. I can speak a little bit about that, because I rushed the business fraternity at Richmond. It's called Alpha Kappa Psi, and I got a really good insight into the business world and understanding the practical approach of it. And also, it was a very good experience to understand what the business is in reality and what it takes for a businessman to be at that point. And it's a lot of things that from the outside world I never thought would be required or would be, applied in the area of business. But the whole rush process and the teachers. So I interacted with a lot of faculty from the business school, as well as a lot of students. And I saw that it is the business school and the business students, they don't just have knowledge about the business world and about markets and stuff like that. They also carry knowledge about the like outside their subject area, which actually they are able to apply into that business. So I think that the business school and rushing the fraternity, and I've taken economics, like econ classes in the business school. And I think that it can really be applied very well into any business. And the whole structure of the business school and the way it works with the fraternity and the classes, I think is very unique, because it gives liberal arts students an option of even getting a business minor or a major, which can be, of course, further applied into something that they want to do in the future.
Super. So yeah, I think that would have been my next question. How did you get involved in campus life? So the fraternity is one. Did you also then use other resources on campus? Did you try new things in terms of extracurriculars? What were they?
Yeah, so I think one of the super fun things that I've been doing on campus is playing spike ball, and I'm part of the spike ball club. And it's just been initiated very recently, but I think it's a great set of guys that we're playing, and it's just a very bonded community in the spike ball. It's like a backyard game, but there's so much emotion and there's so much thrill in that game that I've been enjoying that as well. I made a lot of friends through the spike ball club. Another thing that I'm good part of into the sophomore year, which I got elected as the senator for the Richmond College Student Government Association. I think that's a great platform for me, because I've always been somebody who wants to voice his or her opinion, and I believe that the students of UR, they're very emotional, and they believe that there should be justice, there should be the right things that should be going on, and it can be nothing better than actually representing them and voicing their opinion for them. I've also been part of this South Asian Student Association, which is another opportunity for me to feel like home. I think it's for any South Asian Indian students, I think it's very important that we stay linked with our community, as well as speak to people about it and spread our culture, because it's so beautiful. And so many of my friends, I've had one of my favorite Diwalis was on campus, and I've had like traditional celebrations with all of my friends, and it's been very unique because they are all so accepting and they love it. So yeah, and I try to stay as involved on campus, whether it's with the student associations or whether it's just clubs, and interacting with campus as much.
Wonderful. I think, yeah, you've transported me to campus with all the leadership and the festive sort of spirit that you probably bring to campus. Remember your high school years and, your ability to challenge stage fright and deal with it. And now look at you sort of, becoming this student leader in a foreign land. Awesome. So delighted to have connected. I have one last rapid fire round of questions, and then we'll just let audience members send in our questions later on once we go live with this.
Sure.
So if you were to tell us how you spent your time during this lockdown, and what were the learnings for you, very quickly, what do you think you learned about yourself during this lockdown?
I think one most important thing that I learned was I can sleep a lot. But apart from that, I think I also learned a lot about family bonding. And I think it was a very important time for me, where this was the first time I was actually away from my family. And I just understood the value about being home and, connecting with them, and connecting with them in a way where, it's cherished and it's like a memory. But also I've been reading a lot. I've been reading a lot of articles, and I've tried to keep myself as engaged as possible with summer classes. Summer classes have also been very interesting because I took an accounts and a computer class. So I've been trying to code, and I'm learning JavaScript and Python on the side. And yes, I think I look at me, I'm happy. So I think I've got happier
Yeah, you've been
after
busy.
the lockdown.
That's
Yeah.
that's it. So if you were to describe three adjectives that describe your strengths, which three words would you pick?
I would say I'm outgoing. I guess I'm emotional, and I am, let's say, I'm motivated.
Super. So thank you so much, Shashwat. This was a really interesting, quick catch up, but I'd love to invite you to some of our panels going forward and see you on those sessions too.
Definitely, I'd love to
Thanks.
do that.